Hey guys, Ryan here, and currently Roscoe is on my lap. So basically, as you can see, Matthew's not going to be in this video. This is like a video that I'm going to share, well, a story that I'm going to share about my past, and it is a bit weird having Matthew not here, and it's because it is such a personal kind of subject. Also, I think I'm getting ill, so just sorry about that. So I'm literally just going to start because I feel like it is going to be a bit of a long video. I just want to explain at first that I haven't made this video for any type of reason of just, oh, he just wants people to feel sorry for him. I really do. That's probably like one of the reasons why I've held off and not ever really talking about it. And a lot of people that know me don't actually know my past or what's happened in the past. And I have to say, like, my childhood was really, really tough. Probably not as tough as other kids have had it, but it was definitely pretty tough. So I'm going to start. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because me and Matthew are slowly getting more subscribers, getting more people that are coming to us to watch our videos for advice. And I think they see one side of us, which is always the positive side, but we have got problems, we deal with problems, we have problems, we have our past, and I'm sharing my past now. I always say to Matthew, like he's so lucky because he's got an amazing family, they're so supportive, he's had a really good life, and I think he actually understands that, but at the same time he's always kind of been there for me. Like, I feel really lucky now, that fact that like I have Matthew in my life, I have Roscoe, I have like my own family, but in the past, like, it wasn't like that. So I'm just going to start, and I hope you enjoy this video, and hopefully you just learn and you feel a bit connected. I think that's when I was talking to Matthew about, I don't know if I want to do this, he was like, just do it, because it's about connecting with our subscribers and kind of sharing our experiences and trying to help other people get through similar situations. So let's begin. I basically start at the beginning. So I don't remember a lot when I was younger. I remember that my mum and dad were together, and I remember I had a brother and sister at the same time. I was always kind of close to my sister, and I was around 7 when I started kind of remembering things that were happening, and my mum was a bit like psycho. I'm also really careful what I say about my mum, because my mum passed away at the start of the year, so like I'm trying not to like make her out to be this evil person, because it's just kind of a bit, I feel like it's a bit disrespectful. But she had her problems. She used to kind of hit us. She like abused us. She was really, really awful, and I think because I was so young, I didn't get the full impact. Whilst my brother and my sister at the time, they got whipped with like a leather belt and stuff like that. And I remember like me and my brother used to share a bedroom, and we used to have like a top bunk, and I used to be on the top bunk, and my mum was quite short, so like if she was gonna go for us and hit us, we would run up and then hide on the far distance because she couldn't reach us, and that was like our safe zone. And I remember one time she was so mad, I don't know why or what happened, she was so mad, like she had her nails and she like cut me down my arm, and I was literally petrified. And at the point my dad would be working a lot, so he wasn't really home. So my mum was kind of looking after us three, and my dad was earning money, because we did have like a nice life, like we had a nice house, we got things, if we ever wanted it, we didn't go without, we went on holiday, and everything was perfect from the outside. Like, no one ever knew the problems until it was behind closed doors, and I find that's what a lot of like child abuse is about. And like getting abused by parents is always behind closed doors, you wouldn't ever expect it. At the point when I was like 7, 8, my mum carried on, and I think when I got to like 8, 9, my mum started getting worse, and like I used to hate, I remember going to school and I used to hate wanting to come home. And I remember one time we went out playing in the weekend, and my mum said don't come back, or if you come back you're not going back out. And let me just explain, my mum had something wrong with her at the point where she had to clean the house. Like, it was past OCD, it was really bad. Like, she had to hoover the house 8 times a day. We couldn't eat crisps with our fingers, we had to use a spoon. We couldn't eat toast with our fingers, we had to use a knife and fork. We always had to have a plate. Mum was a neat freak, and I think that kept triggering stuff, and I think that's why she lashed out, because there was no way in her mind that she was right. She had something wrong with her, like a mental illness or something, because like she was never always nasty, she never used to hit us. It only started, and I think something triggered or something happened, and then she just got worse and worse and worse. After the weekend, so my mum was basically saying we couldn't go, if we went in we couldn't go back out, and I needed a poo, and it was me and my brother that went out. My sister, I think she went to sleepover, and me and my brother went out, and I was like, talk to my brother Alex, I was like, I need a toilet, I need a poo, and I didn't want to go back in because I knew she'd been really angry. I was so scared of my mum, and so I ended up going behind someone's garden, and I remember having to wipe my bum with leaves, and I was an 8-year-old boy because I was too scared to go back home. And like, I think I'll always remember that, because I think I was holding, it's gross, because I was holding my poo in for such a long time because I just didn't want to go home. I was so scared that my mum was just going to hit me. Like, my mum, she used to just like kind of hit us, like whenever something went wrong we would be the problem. And then when I was 9, it got really bad. It got to the point where my mum used to start burning us with like straighteners, and my brother and my sister were getting older. I think my sister would have been around 14, and my brother being around 13. I was the youngest. They started reacting a lot more. They started lashing out on my mum. My mum started lashing out more on them. My dad was never around really, and I was just there like watching it. And I remember my sister shut the door on my mum, and like her fingers were caught in the door. And I remember I was like 9 just watching this, and I remember just crying and crying and crying, because when you're 9 you don't really know what you're doing, you don't know like what's happening, why is everyone hating each other. Like, there was so much hate, and it was just awful. And I think like with my mum being really ill and my brother and sister started triggering it more, it was just like a domino effect, and they would just go after each other, and it got so bad that like I remember I used to go to school, and there used to be cuts and bruises, and like my mum tried to explain that, oh, I was a bit dopey and that like I used to fall into stuff, but like it wasn't the case. Oh my god, this is so emotional. It wasn't the case. Stuff happened. So it was because my mum abused, but like now looking back it really pisses me off that the school kind of they shut it off basically. They're like, oh, okay, like he's just a bit dopey, and it was so clear that there was too many bruises, there were too many marks on my body just to be an accident, like walking into a door, walking into something. It was clearly something they should have investigated, but they didn't. And I think I'll always be like really bitter about that. I think schools need, like some schools just need to get their shit together, to be honest. If alarming bells are going off, sort it, because it literally scars the child for good. Like, it always, oh my god, I can't even get really emotional on YouTube. This is so, like, this is sort of thing I didn't want to really do this video, and I knew it's going to be super hard. It's just down, so I know it's going to be online, and it's always going to be there, and it's going to be just a really touchy, raw subject. But anyway, so after all that, when it started getting really, really bad, we had neighbours move in, which were police officers, and they moved in, and they basically kept hearing stuff. And by this point, my mum started getting abusive to my dad, because he started noticing a lot more, and he was kind of not working as much, so he was around. And I feel sorry for that my mum had to deal with 3 kids on her own, and the fact that my brother and sister were also really vile towards her. I felt like she stressed even more with them, and I think that kind of tipped her over the edge. I don't ever blame my mum for the way she handled it. I feel like she just needed help, and she never got help. My dad was spending more time at home, and she started turning violent towards him, and he, like, one time, like, she put, like, gas, or I think it's Fix, it's like a liquid or like oil over all his like CD players. He like she like scratched him, and my dad didn't leave her. Like, my dad like loved her and he loved us. He didn't want to just leave this whole family, because everyone outside of our family thought we were so like perfect, even if we weren't. A neighbour moved in, and the neighbour was a police officer, and basically they kept hearing the screams. And I remember I was playing outside, and the police officer came out, and she was like, hi, and I was like, hi. I was still 9, and she'd noticed all these kind of like cuts and stuff. So she kind of investigated it a bit more, and then the police came, and then the social workers got involved. And before I even knew it, we were in care. Me and my sister and my brother and me all got split up. My brother went to someone else, my sister went to someone else, and I went to someone else. I was really lucky that like my foster parents, which I was with for a year, so I was in care for a whole year. I didn't get out until I was 10, and sorry, I've got like a blocked nose, I think, so that's why I'm sniffing. So they were really nice. They lived like in like a countryside, so I got to experience kind of the countryside. And I remember, I look back and thinking that, but at the time I hated it. I hated it. Every day I would cry. Every night I would cry. I would have this tick book when I was seeing my mum and dad. And even though my mum did all this, I still loved her with my heart, because I think I always kind of blamed my brother and sister a lot more than her, because I think they didn't help her at all. And I think if they helped her, she would have got help, like professional help, and things might have been different, but they weren't. So I kind of saw her and my dad every weekend, and whilst that was happening on, and over a year, my mum and my dad got a divorce, and I don't think I ever knew anything about it. It got to the point where my social worker said to me, like, we had to pick who we wanted to live with, so I had to pick either my mum or my dad, and I picked my dad, so I started living with my dad, and my brother and my sister picked my mum, and that was kind of the end of like me speaking to my sister and my mum. I started seeing my mum and sister every now and then. My sister kind of went off the rails, and she moved away, and we lost contact, and I don't really speak to her at all. Whenever I speak to her now, she just causes me a lot of like trouble, so I've kind of cut her. And my mum eventually met someone else, and again I was like 10, so I was like, I want you to be with my dad, because it was such a shock for me. I didn't know why they broke up. I never thought they broke up, but I didn't know, and when I left care I was like, why are you not together? And then to find out that she was with someone else, I just couldn't get used to it, so I used to go and see them. Like, my mum and Roger was her boyfriend, or later came husband, and I was like, why? I didn't like him because I wanted my dad to be there and not him, and I think that's normal. So I stopped going round as often, and then I was having problems with my dad and my brother. Like, my brother, he was in care for a year. I think he must have been around 15. He started mixing with the wrong crowd, and he started getting, with the whole situation with my mum, my sister started getting really violent, and my brother started getting really violent, and I think because I was so young, I never picked up on what was happening. I think if I was a bit older, I might have ended up being like violent, and so my sister went down the violent road, and she started like getting with guys and kind of having kids. My brother started getting really violent towards me and my dad, because we moved into a council flat, and my dad was working full time looking after me and my brother. There was problems just going on, like my brother like pushed me down the stairs at one point, so my dad kind of was like, right, enough's enough, I can't handle you, and he went back into care. And then it was just me and my dad for a while, for a very long time. And then before I knew it, my mum moved to Kent with her husband Roger. That was basically what happened with my mum. I never really saw her. In fact, I never saw her again. And I look back now that she's like passed away, and I feel like really, really sad that I never got a chance. I always said to myself, like, once I finished my degree, I've grown up, I will find her and kind of reconnect, because I always knew it wasn't her fault. And then it was sad that she like passed away, because I never really got to kind of like mend up our like mum and son kind of relationship. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. So after all that, I was with my dad, and we were fine. My dad, and then I kind of realised my dad's one of them people where like he always kind of put girls before me. And it's fine now because I'm older, I kind of have my own like family. But he, when I was like 15 and stuff like that, he would always pick a girl over me. Like if there was an argument, he would go with the girl. If I was crying and she was crying, he would go with the girl. And I 100% disagree. I think that's wrong. I think your son or your child should always go before any girl or boyfriend that comes into your life. They have to like love you and love your child. I 100% believe that. My dad didn't see it like that. So when I turned 17, bear in mind he had a few girlfriends. A few of them I hated. One of them strangled me because I didn't call her mum. This woman, this bitch called Kim, strangled me when I was playing Pokemon on my windowsill. She ran into my room and she was like, you call me mum? And I was like, no, you'll never be my mum. And she strangled me. And my dad still let her live with us. So that's something I'm a bit meh. 17, my dad met this girl called Ro. She was a Christian. She was very, very into her religion. Me and her didn't see eye to eye because I was 17, I was getting older, I knew I wasn't stupid, I knew what was happening. And bear in mind, not long ago, one of his girlfriends like robbed us of everything we had. Like she took all his money and then left. So my dad's very, very naive with girls, and this Ro girl, she had a kid. The kid was nice. This Ro girl though was awful. This Ro girl was awful. She was rude. She used to like bitch about my nan, and my nan was, me and my nan like were like that. Like my nan was the first person I came out gay to. She was the person that like supported me the most. She always believed in me. And my dad let it happen. My dad kind of was like, if she bitched about my nan, my dad's mum, my dad wouldn't say anything. And in my mind I'm like, that's wrong. And I started speaking up a lot more. And obviously I came out gay to my dad, and my dad was fine. He was going to be so supportive. I say he was going to be. He was going to be so supportive. Only because Ro didn't like gays, she thought it was wrong. She made him kick me out when I was 17. So, in case you don't know, bear in mind I was in care before, when you're 17, you're too old to go into care, but you're too young to get your own place on a council flat. So, I was kind of screwed for a long time, and this is when it's kind of made me who I am now. Even though I look back, I still get really sad because it is still a raw subject. I mean, on my other channel before this, videos of me living that life, and it's just sometimes I go back to it and I'm like, my heart like breaks. I got kicked out and I had to sleep on the streets for a few nights. Bear in mind, I had college and I was in my second year, I believe, of college. I just started. It got really tough. I didn't go to college, and my college was 40 minutes away on the bus. I had no money. I couldn't provide for myself. I didn't know how to cook, clean, anything. I will always be forever grateful for my old friend. I don't speak to her anymore, but it just makes me kind of sad that her family took me in, and they took me in for 3 weeks whilst I managed to get into a hostel. But if they didn't take me in, I would have literally been on the streets. And I remember everyone was saying, like, how could your dad do that? Everyone hated my dad for doing that, because he basically let a woman take control of his son. I was on the streets and I was with my friend, and all this time I was begging my dad, like, please let me come back home, please let me come back home, like, I miss you, I miss home, I miss everything. And the amount of times I didn't ever get a reply, I never got a phone call back, never got a response. He basically cut me from his life. So after I got to the hostel was awful. I had someone, they were just nasty, chaffy people that didn't want to do anything with their life. And a lot of them were like that, and I take my hats off for the people that just fell into a bit of trouble. There was a few really, really smart people that didn't belong there. They just needed a bit of help, but the majority of people were just rude, nasty, low lives. They didn't care for their life, they just wanted to do drugs, and that was it. So I kept myself to myself, because it was scary. Like, I was 17, they were all older, they were all like nasty. And then I moved into like a shared house which was run by the hostel, and it was worse because there was one guy who was a complete creep, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he was just really creepy. Like, he used to make me want to go to his room and like stay in his room all night, and I was just like, no, like, I tried to keep myself to myself, but in that situation when your room and his room are like that, next to each other, you don't want to leave your room because you don't want to bump into him. So even though it's a shared house, I literally stayed in my room the whole year that I was there. I didn't like chill in the lounge, I didn't do anything. If I went to the bathroom, I'd run to the bathroom. I wouldn't like just take my time. It was awful. And one time my door got kicked in, and it just got kicked in. There was nothing taken, but someone just decided to break my door, which scared me because I had to live there. And by this point I was also going through a few other problems because I was living on my own and all this was happening. I don't know what happened. I think I had like a little breakdown. Yeah, so I had a little breakdown, and it really affected me. I lost loads of weight. I changed style. I had a haircut. It doesn't sound dramatic, but it was really. I got tattoos. I stopped caring. I lost a lot of my friends because I just didn't care. Like, I got to the point where I didn't care. I started doing a lot more stuff that I wanted to do. I started wearing a bit of makeup, and my friends, they didn't know how to handle it. I think that's why I kind of lost them as well. With my weight, I lost loads. As soon as my dad kicked me out, I basically stopped eating, because I didn't know how to cook at first, and I didn't want to eat. I wanted to change my life, and I wanted to change it quick. So my way was literally not eat, and if I did eat, I would puke. So I started having a bit of an eating disorder, which, if you guys want, I would do another whole different video on that, because that was probably the hardest part of my life, because I was in college. I remember going to college, and I remember everyone knew that I wasn't eating, and everyone was really, really worried. My teacher was so like she was so good. She wouldn't let me leave the room unless I ate. It got to the point where I dropped like 3 stone, and I don't even know how long. I dropped 3 stone really quick, and because I was big, I was really, really big, and I just dropped 3 stone, and I think I didn't really know how to handle it, and I couldn't stop. Like, I was obsessed with not eating and seeing how low I can weigh, and I remember weighing on the scales like every day, but we'll leave that. And then, so I was going through that, and I was living on my own, and my dad, I ended up stopped talking to my dad. And then my nan passed away, actually, and this was something that I forgive my dad now. Me and my dad are really, really solid now, but this is something that I probably won't ever forgive/forget, is when my nan passed away, and Ro was there at the funeral, and my nan hated her she hated her for what she did to the family and the way she was. My nan hated her. And the fact that my dad blanked me the whole funeral and sat with her and didn't say hello or hug me, like, my nan just died and I literally sat on my own. I didn't have anyone. So yeah, I didn't have anyone. I sat on my own. I went to the funeral, said my goodbyes, and I didn't even go to the awakening. I think that's what you call it. I literally met my friends and I was like, look after me, because they weren't my family anymore. Like, none of them gave a shit, like, about me. When my dad kicked me out, none of them, like, helped me at all. Like, so in my mind, I'm like, you don't deserve, like, you don't deserve to help me. Like, my nan was gonna take me in, but she was ill, she had cancer, so she was sorting herself out, so she couldn't look after me. But everyone else just didn't care. And the fact that my dad never spoke to me that whole time was awful. He didn't speak to me for 2 months after, until he knocked on my door. He knocked on my door, and by this point I was like, right, I'm going uni, like, I'm getting out of this shithole, like, I'm going uni, I'm literally gonna do something amazing with my life. And just, I like knew I was meant, it sounds really cheesy, I just knew I was meant for better things than just being in a council flat and staying in Daventry where I didn't fit in. I didn't have any friends, like, I didn't have family, I didn't really have friends that like that. And then at Daventry, everyone looked the same, and I had so much bad memories. My whole life was in Daventry, and it was just bad memories that I didn't want to be in that area anymore. And so I was like, I'm getting out of here. And my dad knocks on the door, and my first reaction is like, oh my god, my dad's back. And then it changed, and I was like, don't ever speak to me. And I shut the door, because I was like, you haven't spoken to me for about 6 to 8 months. Bear in mind, I'm 18 now, and I was like, you've not spoken to me in like months, like 8 months. You see me in the street and you don't even acknowledge me. You don't care. You know that I've been through so much shit, like, and you don't care. And then he was like, and then I blanked him, and then I messaged him that day, and I was like, let's go and get a drink. Because at the end of the day, he was my dad, and I needed family. I didn't have any family, I didn't have anyone. So when you're in that situation, I really just wanted someone. And we met and we talked, and we sorted things out. And I still believe now, the only reason why we sorted things out was due to because he wasn't with Ro anymore. Like, they ended. I'm not sure who dumped who, how they ended. All I know is she moved back up to Derbyshire, which is another 2 hours away from where he is, and they just stopped talking. So he basically comes running back to me, and that's how I always see it. That's how it will be. Like, that's literally what happened. And I forgave him. Like, I still wanted him in my life. Like, bear in mind, he was a good dad. Like, when I was younger, when it was just being him, he got me everything I wanted. He looked after me. If I got bullied at school, he would help me. He would cook me dinner. He was a really good dad. He was always there. If I was ill, he would help me. If I had homework, he would help me. So he wasn't a bad dad. I think he just made bad choices, and he got sucked in by all these maliciously, I don't know if that's a word, bad, evil girls. And not even women, they're girls. And I think he just chose them, and he got sucked in with them, and that it was a mistake, and that's it. That's what's happened. So we made up, and he was kind of like wanting me to move back in, and I was like no, because at this point I had 3 months left before I came to uni. 3 to 4 months. I was finishing my degree, my course degree. I didn't want to just like pack everything and go back home. I also started enjoying my freedom. I started having freedom. I started enjoying who I was becoming. I was proud of who I was becoming. I didn't want to change. Like, I didn't want to go back and live with my dad and have all these rules, like being at 9, don't look like that, don't wear that. I was so happy with being who I am, and I was so confident. I was working. I got so focused on my degree, and I came out with like the highest grade you can get. I was dedicated to getting that degree so I could go to uni and get away from that area. And which is what has happened. I'm now in Southampton doing my masters, so it kind of worked out for the best. And me and my dad, after that, he like phones me every day. We're so strong, like we're always talking, and it's just the past is the past. Like I've forgiven him, and that's it. So that is this video. That is how my abusive video and becoming homeless. Wow, that was such a. I know I'm so sorry if it's really long. It's actually a really, really touchy subject. I can't believe I need to quite on camera. Yeah, so if you want these kind of videos, again, leave a comment. There is a comment or like this video. There's a few other kind of like raw subjects I can touch on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it kind of, you know what, I really want this video just to inspire people, like to literally just, no matter what shit you go through, just focus and really, really push yourself, because at the end of the day it's your life. You only have one life. If people fuck it up for you, just don't brush them off and push yourself, because if none of that happened to me, I don't think I'd be where I am now. I don't think I'd be as strong and confident and who I am now. So I think everything happens for a reason, and really just go for it. Like, it's your life. Don't let anyone else like shape it or map it. You map your own life. So I kind of hope it's inspiring more than anything. And yeah, you're next to see Matthew. I kind of missed Matthew in this video. Love you guys, and see you soon.